University of El Salvador, Western Multidisciplinary Campus, English Language Department. Licenciatura en Idioma Inglés, opción Enseñanza. Children Learning English, a book written by Jane Moon. Chapter number 5. Who has some good news for today? We as teachers use talk for many purposes in the classroom, but are we talking too much? Let's check. Task number 1. Talking for what reason? Every time we talk inside the classroom, we must have a purpose for talking. But are they the right purposes? Are we letting the students talk? The teacher must talk to control and discipline. It is a must that the teacher do. The teacher also needs to give feedback to the students, to correct them, and to employ new words as long as they are teaching. Teachers also need to praise the students when they make a good job. And also, teachers need talking to us or give information. It is okay to talk in those times. However, we can also talk to provide examples of models. We can mimic as well. However, it is okay to talk to provide the example. Task 2. Some advantages and disadvantages of using English to teach English. Some teachers may argue that you must speak the whole class in English. However, there are some times that it shows that it's most negative the use of English in the world class. The advantage is to develop pupils' confidence in the language because they are speaking English all the time. However, weaker or slower pupils may lack the confidence to believe they can learn, and they may block the input they are exposed to. So, that is something to take into account when we are talking in English. Also, it provides real reasons for using English to communicate because they need to talk it whenever they are in the classroom. However, we also have the disadvantage. Students may be trying to communicate, however, the teachers may also have limited English or insufficient fluency in the language. We are not perfect, as we are all humans, and we are not walking dictionaries, but some teachers lack the fluency that is needed to teach in that class. Also, speaking English in the classroom can motivate pupils to want to learn. They feel motivated when they hear the language, and they are using it on a daily basis. However, we have the disadvantage that for pupils who are not highly motivated, it may involve too much effort to try to understand. Because they are not motivated, they feel that they are doing a double job. Also, we have the task 3. Teacher's language. We must use simple instructions and have non-verbal responses. We use short sentences. We use repetitive patterns, and we also need to use simple, familiar, and repeated vocabulary. The actions that must be taken in account are to link the words with the actions that we are doing. It is very important for the students to see that the action that requires that word. The teacher uses objects, and the teachers are also involving children in the action, so they can learn easily by knowing the word and the action required for it. Use of the mother tongue or language 1.
Situation: the child is upset. The reason for use L1 to soothe the child and demonstrate sympathy and closeness. We use this because maybe we want to support our students to tell the things in English because sometimes they are afraid of what their classmates are going to tell them. So we have to support them and show them that we are friends of them. Situation: child knows the answer of the question but not in English. This always happens in the class if you are teacher of English. If you are in Spanish and you are in El Salvador, for example, the children want to communicate the answer of the teacher, but they use the mother tongue because they don't know English and they don't want to use English. So the first resort is Spanish, and they will tell you the thing in Spanish. Another situation: child wants to communicate something but they have limited English. This happens because sometimes the children want to use half Spanish, half English because they don't know. Maybe they want to know a word but they don't know how to say it in English, so they say it in Spanish. The reason for use S1 is to communicate a message. As I told you, when they want to say something but they don't know, they try to say the sentences maybe half in Spanish and then the other half in English. Another one situation: teacher wants to introduce a new game which has complicated rules. That happens because they are children, so they sometimes they are not going to understand the rules of the game. So the teacher have to use the mother tongue to say time as is communicating a message, because the children are hyperactive, so they want to start it again. So you have to explain them in Spanish the rule of the game that you are going to do. Task 4. Use the L1 as a resort. Developing classroom interaction strategies. Because you want them to tell them something, explain a new topic, but they don't understand, so they will ask you in Spanish. Task 5. Let children take a risk in a language learning. The first one, create special times that you can share the things, or they can, with their classmates, can share the experiences. The another one, make mistakes, because if you make a mistake, they are going to tell you that you are making a mistake, so they will correct you. Develop some activities. That is too common with children because they like to play, they like to draw, so you have to adapt your activities based on the age of the student and praise them. Strategies for interacting with children. Showing genuine interest in and responding positively. Encouraging attention to language accuracy. Because you as a teacher have to show them that you are paying attention on what they are saying, because they like that people hear you. So they will ask you, sometimes they will ask you that if you have heard what they were telling you. Helping pupils to phrase the information and relating talk to familiar context, because if you relate the topics with the things that they like, it will be easier for them to learn new things, and they will ask you and they will participate in the classroom because they are excited and about a new topic. teacher concerns about communicating with pupils through English. If you are in an English class, so you have to talk with them in English, but not using hard words that they are not going to understand, that they are getting confused if you are telling something. Support and how to provide it. Maybe when you are a teacher, you want to help your student, but sometimes you have to support it, not do the things that they have to do. You have to be like a teacher and guiding, and you have to take care of what is happening in your classroom. Don't be like teacher that doesn't care about anything that is happening in the classroom, that they just want to be in the classroom because they just want to earn money. They don't want to transmit their knowledge. Ways of supporting children's language learning. For example, as this picture, the children is taught, they are with the teacher are talking about animals. They like animals, so you must relate to your topics with the thing that they like. Teacher provides support for the pupils and adjusts the language to suit the levels of the pupils. Repeat pupils' answer. This will be if you don't understand, you have to repeat the answer and see if they tell you yes. Phrase answers. Sometimes they don't understand what you are telling them, so you have to tell them slowly. And prompt through a rise in her intonation. For example, ice cream. In their example, ice cream. They are two different, but sometimes they pronounce as the same. Encourage pupil to finish his or her sentence. That happens that they like just to say fragments. They don't want to say a complete sentences, so you have to encourage them to talk in formal speaking. Use gestures and actions. Like you see in this picture, the children is showing the adjective angry in the adjective happy, or you can tell them smile. They are going to learn through
types of support: language, techniques or resources, children themselves. So we as a teacher, we need to know about language, because they are going to understand what we are saying. Even though they cannot understand by a language, we are going to use the different techniques or resources. Children themselves are going to make the effort to understand what they want to know about the class. So if they are not able to understand, we are going to find and to look for different ways to make them to understand. In other words, we can use language, techniques, resources as the main ways. How to assess the support needed. Give pupils a clear purpose for doing the activity. What does it mean? That when we are teaching, we are going to make them understand what they have to do. Put an example of this type of crossword on the board. It is a clear example. If they do not understand what they are going to do, we are going to help them by giving an example. Maybe they are going to understand what is the word about. Ask students if they know what they have to do, in order to get a clear idea if they have already understood. How to adjust and reduce support gradually. It is important to gradually reduce or adjust support as children become familiar with the procedures and the skills required for doing the task. It means that when they know what they have to do, they are going to get or to become familiar with all the activities that they have to do. It is required for doing a task when they have already known what is the topic about. Teacher can give them opportunities to try out and transfer their newfound skill or knowledge to similar but more challenging tasks in slightly different contexts. So if they are working in different contexts, they are going to have different opportunities in different ways that they are developing a task. If they have different activities, they are going to understand according to what the teacher said. If they have some doubts, we cannot give them more activities because they are going to get confused. When support is not fixed, responds to the student's needs. So we may use objects, gestures, or words. Imagine that we have a situation in which the students cannot understand just the words, so we are going to show them some objects in order to get the real meaning, or gestures, because they cannot understand by words even, or they cannot understand by objects. We are going to use some gestures. Find a learning activity. When teacher may use an action plan, it means that when you are going to find a learning activity, it becomes a little bit familiar when they want to know what they are going to learn. For example, if you are going to teach something new about a new topic in a book, you are going to look for different ways in order to get them a new knowledge or new meanings. It is going to be developed in class. Plan how to introduce the topic and the type of support to use. If you are planning a class, so you are going to make a introduce about the topic in order to get a clear or a closely idea about the topic. Imagine that you have a situation in which a student don't understand about the real topic. So you are going to give them a clear idea and let them know about what is the topic. Plan how to recycle the ideas and vocabulary. In this case, to recycle the ideas means that we are going to use each word or each vocabulary that we have already teach the students. So if we are going to have a different class, we are going to use the words and expressions that they have already learned. It is going to be helpful also for teachers and for students because they are going to understand what they are talking about. Make a note on how many students were able to carry on with the activity. It's going to be a possibility that there were many students who were not able to carry on with the activity because maybe they were so bored or they were not interested about activity. But there are going to be students who are going to be interested in the activity so that they worked in a good way. Questions about support. How will I know when I need to reduce support? It is going to be according to the class, if they have already know the class and the limits. How can you give the right support to a kid and every group of students? Isn't it spoon feeding if I provide them support? Even if my support helps a child do an activity today, will she or he be able to do it herself or himself tomorrow?